Gonna get a little bit vulnerable with you here, but I used to feel like I was a failure at the end of most days. Like I didn't do enough. There was more that I should be doing. Lately though, I've been wrapping up most days feeling content, knowing that I've done enough. That doesn't mean that I've done everything, but I have done the things that matter. Yes, I wake up early most days. That means I get my best work done between the hours of like 5, 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. But that's not why I'm successful or feel like I've done enough at the end of every day. This shift isn't because I've been squeezing more in, but because I've been actually looking at what it means to be productive. I've been rewriting those rules for myself because, as you probably know, especially if you are also a mom entrepreneur like me, the productivity rules and all of the habits that most people share on the internet are just not conducive to our lifestyles. So I've been choosing priorities over pressure and focusing on the needle moving activities and giving myself permission to adapt and be flexible because life happens. Life isn't rigid, and it definitely isn't if you have littles at home like I do. I'm literally running my business around their schedules, so I need to be flexible. And if you felt that type of failure at the end of the day, then I know that you get it. And I don't want you to feel like that anymore. So in this video, we are going to talk about why most productivity habits don't work for moms of littles and what you can try instead. If you don't know me, hey, I'm Jill Wise. I've been working in this online world for over a decade now. So I've been around the block, and I started my business before kids, and now I run it in part-time hours while being the primary parent to my 2 toddlers during work hours. So that's what we're working with here. My life is crazy full right now, and I absolutely love it. Everything that I'm building and working on is so exciting. The people that I'm working with, but most importantly, I get to spend most of my days with my kids, which is so cool to me. So I have a lot of thoughts about this, which means I have my notes here for you, and we're just gonna work through some of these and have a little chit chat, because I think it's important to let this flow kind of naturally. I don't really want to filter this for you. I am gonna edit out any things that I say that are kind of dumb. We'll make sure that we don't have that in there, but I want to make it more unfiltered because I think that's important for you to see what it's really like and what's really working, so that you can have like real life examples and things that you can try for yourself too. So let's get into it. First, talking about productivity my way and like permission to change the plan. If you didn't know this, you have permission to change the plan. You have permission to change your plans that other people have for you. You are in charge and you get to choose. I know, shocking, right? We don't think about this often, especially if you've picked a plan, you have these goals set for yourself, you're a driven person, and then you have kids and your plan is rocked. I've been there, I get it. But if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're not, you get to choose the plan. So you get to change your plan. For me, this looked like having one plan before having kids and then changing that plan after I had my first, and then changing that plan again after I had my second. So I thought after my first, I was gonna go back to work full time. We were gonna get a nanny. It was gonna be great. Full time for me at the time meant working 4 days a week. I loved my Fridays off. I thought it would all go back to normal after like maternity leave. I was wrong. I have not worked full time since my first was born 3.5 years ago. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. The life that I have, the work-life integration that I have right now is by design, it's intentional, and I want to keep it like this. I feel like we're in mostly a good spot with the rhythms that we have, and I just want to continue to optimize that rather than changing anything drastically. So if you are realizing that you need to change your plan, it's okay if you need to. It's okay if you thought you would work more. It's okay if things just don't look how you thought they would. That's really normal. And because it's normal, this is some advice that I give to many clients, because I have worked with many women over the last few years that are either pregnant or they already have kids and they're trying to make their business fit into their new life. So this is really important advice. It's worked for many others. And that is to come up with a plan for different scenarios. So I like to have like a baseline and then a dream goal. Literally make yourself a best case and a baseline budget. So in your business, that looks like planning what the offers, the team structure, the business model, all of those things is going to be if you are at your baseline versus hitting your dream goal. Knowing how the 2 different options could play out gives you the power of flexibility, because you can change as you need to. Maybe 1 month you're getting more sleep, things are working, and you are feeling good, like you can scale up, then you can go for those dream goals. And maybe life starts to happen and you then know what your baseline is. So you know what kinds of offers to focus on selling in order to hit your baseline. You know how to change your schedule. You know what is the priority in each scenario and how to make it happen when you need to pivot. The next thing that you need to know though is that in both of these scenarios, in whatever it is that you decide to go after, your schedule is a guideline, not the rule. So if you're not following your schedule every single day exactly, that is fine. It's not going to happen. I love time blocking. I use time blocking. I still have my calendar time blocked, even though it almost never goes like that, because it helps me kind of stay on track of what my priorities are throughout the different times of day. So right now that looks like my morning focused work block, me waking up alone. I'm not on mom duty until 8 a.m. most mornings so that I have that time to myself. Then we're gonna have breakfast as a family. There's gonna be like a morning activity, whether that's a play date, play group, going out to do something somewhere. So these are different time blocks that I have throughout my day. There's lunchtime, nap time, quiet time. Like we have all the different blocks. It's not exact down to the minute of timing. Things happen. And that's okay. So you need to remember that your schedule is a guideline and not the rule, and you're not failing if you're not following it exactly. Because a lot of the time, the failure that you might feel at the end of the day is actually coming because your expectations don't match your reality. So if you can't change your reality right now, then you need to change your expectations. And it's amazing how this small perspective shift can change everything for you. Another thing that I started doing differently that helps with my productivity in this season is that I don't really have like lengthy to-do lists that I focus on all the time. So I have everything in my ClickUp, all the things that should happen, could happen, all the little tasks and things like that. But instead of focusing on all of those tiny little things, like you should see all of the tasks that are not done in my ClickUp, I choose my priorities. So I have 1 to 3 main priorities every single week. And then from there, I break it down daily so that I have one main selling activity and one main serving activity. And then to round it all out, taking care of myself is also a top priority. So I know every single day, if I don't do anything else, I'm going to do one thing for me, I'm going to do one thing to sell, I'm going to do one thing to serve. Really, I can do all of that in like an hour throughout the day. So if I can have 15 minutes to myself in the morning, if I can have 15 minutes to send out a sales email, if I can have 15 minutes to follow up with a client in Slack, at least I've done that. So then at least the day is not totally wasted. And then because my schedule is flexible and I know what my baseline is and my dream goals, and I can change the plan, then I know by the end of the week, I'm gonna get my priorities done. And knowing all of this and being comfortable with this and knowing that not every single day is gonna be perfect, but by the end of the week, everything that needs to happen will happen, then I know that I can end my days feeling good about what I've done. I've done the most important things. Now, to adopt this perspective on productivity, you're gonna have to ditch a few of the rules that you probably hear when you're watching videos like this. I know that I go down so many YouTube rabbit holes of people sharing their productivity hacks and habits and tricks and all of the things, and they are great tips, but there's certain rules that just aren't going to work with you if you're in a season like mine. The first one being that we do not have the same 24 hours in the day. I don't care what the fitness influencer or the productivity influencer or whoever, I don't care that they say we all have the same 24 hours. We do not. I'm sorry, but I don't know if you were up at 3 a.m. and then 4 a.m. trying to get your 1-year-old to go back to sleep, or if you were helping your toddler go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Maybe you were up all night nursing a baby, or someone was having meltdowns and needed a little extra time and love in the mornings in order to get dressed. Sometimes things just take longer and then suddenly the day is over, and we just do not all have the same type of time in the day. So yes, we all have 24 hours. We do not have the same 24 hours. So this is where changing your expectations makes it a whole lot easier. Making your to-dos, your priorities smaller, and everything else is a bonus. Then you're not failing, you're actually getting ahead. On the other hand, I don't want you to use this as an excuse to not do anything, because I see that happen too often. We get in this space where we think that things are happening to us, life is happening to us, but what if it's happening for you? What are you learning from this moment? How are you practicing patience and resilience and all of these good things? And how can you make it so that you aren't still stuck? Because not acting is still a choice, and you have a choice here. That's why I choose on the rougher days of mothering, I know that I'm still gonna do those 3 things for me: the selling, the serving, and the taking care of myself. And I say 3 things for me because right now working on my business and pursuing my own goals feels like self-care for me. So even if it's technically classified as work, working towards the things that I want to achieve feels good right now. So you need to choose to prioritize yourself. And even though your 24 hours looks different, that is not an excuse for you to just let it happen to you. And a cool thing that comes from this like radical responsibility for your actions is that you realize the only thing that's separating you from the people that have or do or have achieved what you want to do is the follow through. It's the accountability. It's that those people were delusional enough to show up every single day working towards their goals. They focused on consistency over the big wins, and it compounds. That's really the only difference between someone who stays the same and someone who gets what they want, is that they act, and they continue to act consistently, effort over time. I can give you an example of how all of this plays out. So being flexible with your schedule, being kind to yourself, knowing that it's not going to be perfect, and still choosing to prioritize yourself because consistency is more important than the big wins. There was a time not too long ago, literally up until this last month, where I wasn't able to do my morning routine every single morning. I'm talking like 3.5 years of not having my typical morning routine that I had relied on for years to be productive. But I know that I still need that time to be my best self. So that is sitting quietly, maybe practicing meditating, journaling, my healthy habits like that. And up until recently, it was totally unrealistic for me to expect to do that at 5 a.m. like I like to, because my youngest only just started sleeping through the night in the last few weeks. And I mean through the night, in that he still might wake up too early sometimes, but I can usually get him to go back to sleep so I can have my mornings. So in that time when I couldn't do my morning routine actually in the morning, I would still try to make it a priority to do my morning routine at some point throughout the day. That meant that I was often doing my morning routine at my kids' afternoon nap time, but it still was a chance for me to reset, to prioritize myself, and do the things that are really important to me, and then that helped me feel good. And when you realize that your energy and your personal growth and your personal well-being is a business growth strategy, everything can change. So with all of this, I hope that you realize that you can define productivity for yourself. You need a compassionate, kind, results-driven, impact-focused definition of productivity rather than just checking things off a list. Because often the things on your list aren't things that actually need to happen. And I don't mean like delegate it. I mean, like, nobody needs to do it. I hope this encourages you to choose impact over just doing more, and start to think about how you can prioritize the needle moving things rather than just doing things to feel like you're doing things. Focus on what makes sense right now. Be kind to yourself if you need to change the plan from your baseline to your dream goals and back again. And pay attention to how you are following through, because ideas mean nothing if you don't act. I think here's a good spot to wrap up. If you want to continue this conversation, have any questions, want me to do a follow-up video on anything that I touched on here, leave those in the comments below. I hope that you found this helpful, and as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me.